Damn, isn't that beautiful? You guys heard the title for today, or you read it. And yeah, I'm not joking, it's not clickbait. Most millionaires are slaves. And I'll tell you why today. I was so excited to film this that I ran away while my family was swimming. And yeah, we'll be talking about why this is the truth. So right now, in the gym, and we're watching TLC. Can you guys see that? It's quality gym. So we'll be talking about why most millionaires are slaves. I say most of them are. And it's because of this, right? People often go to chase money, and they do it for various reasons. People need money for every kind of thing. In fact, it's what they justify so much of their mishaps for, to just increase in wealth. And you can often start with the right intentions. Many people don't. They want to make money for status, for impressing someone, for validation, for all sorts of things. The reality is that some people even have good intentions though. Like some people want to provide for their family, make a better world for their children, give them a more comfortable life. That I applaud wholeheartedly. I think that is amazing. But even if you start off with good intentions, even if you have that point in your life where you want to change for the better, you often do have a point in time where your true intentions become perverted. They become corrupted. And I've experienced that myself. Even though I don't have my own business yet, I'm still interested in the space. And I've noticed myself that my own goals have changed and have oftentimes just strayed so far from what I originally intended them to believe. As I listened to more talks, as I connected with more people in the space, your mind, it does tend to be influenced a lot by them. And suddenly you start incorporating other goals into your life and forgetting about your own goals. It's so dangerous. And so what happens is that people usually try to adopt the thoughts and morals of the people who make the most money to recreate their success. And the people who make the most money are the people who love money the most. People who do anything to make money. And these people are not always good people. In fact, they're usually pretty bad. Just because their whole intention in life is to maximize wealth rather than to give back to the community or to look after people or to, look after themselves. Some people, they spend their whole lives just amassing wealth for no apparent reason. It makes no sense, and yet people do it anyway. In the Quran, we have a few lines, a few ayat speaking about this. In one such chapter, it's called Surah Al-Takathur, it goes, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر ألهاكم التكاثر. Worldly increase, competing in worldly increase diverts you from Allah. حتى زرتم المقابر, until you reach the grave. كلا سوف تعلمون, nay, you will come to know. ثم كلا سوف تعلمون, again, nay, you will come to know. You will come to know. What it's saying here is that you realize that what your competition for worldly increase is all for nothing. There are much more pressing matters in life, like your commitment to God and your commitment to your family, to having good morals and being good and honest to the people around you. It's about taking care of nature. It's about helping society to run its course, to provide value in whatever way you can. And to always chase money, you often forget that. You often lose your touch with reality. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I was watching Predictive History. That is the YouTube channel made by Professor Zhang Juqin, Juqin, something like that. And he talks about, history from a different perspective. I'm gonna link his video right below, you should check it out. But he was talking about, in this first episode, about, well, a lot of what he talks about is trying to find the objective reality. Immanuel Kant said that everyone has their own subjective reality, and we all become much more truth-seeking once we get closer to the objective reality, the truth that is actually there, rather than our own subjective perceptions. And so later on in the episode, he's talking about how power works, right? Because to understand how history works, to find the objective reality, you have to understand power, because power is what shapes this world. It's what motivates us, it's what creates empires and brings them down. And so we're looking at the different forms of power, right? And one of the most, maybe the largest form of power in this day and age is money. Before, back in the Neanderthal era, or when we were like in tribes, if it was just about how much strength you had, right? How if you could just bonk the other guy with a rock and kill him, or you get bonked and you die, then whoever wins gets all of the food, all of the women, all of the influence within this tribe, and all of the status. You're the top dog, you're the alpha male. In this day and age, it's so much different. Right now, we're being run by financial institutions, organizations much larger than we can ever know, who kind of dictate how a lot of the world works. I'm talking about things like the Federal Reserve. What many people don't understand is that money is infinite. It's just a concept. Things like food and land, they're very abundant as well, but even then, they're not necessarily infinite. Money is infinite because it's just a concept. And a lot of you, this is so hard for you to hear. Like, you'll be thinking, you'll be a little bit mind-boggled. It will be a little bit too much for you to handle, maybe. But it's the truth. You should check out Professor Jiang's video later on. But let's just take this as a fact. Because the Federal Reserve, all of these central bank systems, they can print as much money as they want. As long as you trust the value of that money, they can keep doing however they wish. They can keep printing as much as they want. And people often wonder, why does America spend so much on their defense? Like billions and like hundreds of billions of dollars. And you have to realize that America dictates the value of money throughout the whole world. That's just crazy. They dictate what your currency is worth all around the world. And they have to have a huge military to enforce that. They have to be known as the hegemon of the world. They need to be able to destroy any country that challenges that. Just look at what happened to Gaddafi as he was trying to establish the gold standard once again. No, he got destroyed. And that's what will happen to anyone who attacks America's domination over the world at the moment. So financial institutions, financial organizations, they dictate what money is worth, and they can print as much money as they want. It sucks to hear, or it's painful to hear, because you would think, this guy's such a conspiracy theorist, but just think about it for a moment. They can't. A good book, if you want to read it, is the Monster of Jekyll Island, and that talks about the Federal Reserve and all of the evil stuff they do. Yeah, but money's infinite. Let's just take that as a fact, because it is. What really confuses me, what I find really crazy these days, is that money is infinite and people will go out and do anything to get it. There's trillions of dollars in the world, multiple trillions of dollars in the world. There's trillions of dollars traded each day. You just need a small percentage of that to have a huge amount of wealth. Just a small percentage and you get a huge amount of wealth. And of course I'm simplifying it. Of course I'm making it sound much easier than it is. But if you're someone who chases wealth, you're a slave to the system. And so, coming back to the point that so many millionaires, so many of these people who are so highly regarded in our society just because of their wealth. These guys are also slaves. Usually in this society, when we think about who is a slave and who's not, we tend to think it's the lower income, 9 to 5, menial job workers. We're thinking like toilet cleaners, restaurant workers, McDonald's workers. We think these guys are the slaves. And yeah, to an extent, they are kind of slaves. That's true. At the same time though, what many people don't realize is that you can be a millionaire and still mentally enslaved. And here's why. Recently in the tech community, there was this controversial article going around about the work hours that are present within the startup community. One such work hour is the 996. That's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. Crazy. And there are employees doing that. There are people doing 996 for someone else's dream, not even their own. I genuinely don't know what's going through their heads or what their take on life is. I'm sure they have interesting reasons to justify it all, but it really boggles me to think that you're going to spend 12 hours working on someone else's dream. That is just crazy. Nevertheless, even if you are the founder and you work 996, I would still say you're a slave. Here's why. The way that tech startups often work is that you start a business and you could then go find funding. The things people will do for funding, by the way, are just crazy in themselves. Just go on Twitter and just search up like only in SF, and you see all of these things, like all of these guys begging for funding in the most crazy ways. Like there was this one I saw, like this guy who put hotspot out that says, I'm a founder, can I have 2 million funding for my Series A or something. Another one that was like, this guy just put a sticker, he just wrote on a page, I need funding, talk to me if you can, and just walked around coffee shops. And then if you watch like the trailers and videos that people make for the startups, they're just begging for attention, just begging like a poor person. Those are the beggars, right? Those are the people who can't even get any food, any sustenance. Then there are the slaves though. Once you get funding, these people work like dogs to get a return on investment for their investors. It's insane. These investors, these VCs, they'll say, yeah, we work really hard. And then they just go out and have their golf meetings and their lunch at hugely luxury like steakhouses and whatnot. And they'll pretend like, their life is so hard. And then they just invest in these companies. They don't do anything while the founders work day and night tirelessly, completely tirelessly to the end of their wits, just to get their companies into billion-dollar portfolio companies, while the investors don't do anything. In that sense, if you're a startup founder, you're much more of a slave than a VC. You're much more a slave than a McDonald's worker. If you're striving away your whole life, sacrificing your relationships, your family, your community, and everything else, just to make more money for some other guy, like cock behavior, I'm telling you. There's a point in time when I realized this. I was listening to Tom Blomfield, who came to Imperial College London. Tom Blomfield, if you didn't know, he founded Monzo, which was the UK's like biggest digital bank. They really made the digital bank revolution. This guy is worth multiple millions. His companies are worth billions. And he was telling us, I asked him a question actually, and I asked him, hey, what do you have to sacrifice to achieve your wealth? What do you have to sacrifice to be a successful startup founder? And he said this: he had to sacrifice his girlfriend, they broke up. This guy's 30, by the way, I don't think he gets housed. But anyway, what was more sad than that was that his mother was on her deathbed. She suddenly got ill, and this guy was in the office grinding. He risked meeting his mother for the last time just to get a few more hours of working. This guy, his mother passed away, by the way. While he was in the office, he gets a call that his mother has passed away. The same woman who went through multiple contractions, who went through excruciating pain to bring him into this world, who nursed him and cared him throughout his life, who gave him the life that he leads now, while she was dying, while she died, this guy was just in the office. Breaks my heart every time I see this. I don't know his family situation, but it's his mother at the end of the day. And I can tell he felt bad about it, because you could see the moisture, pooling up in his eyes. He started to seem a bit emotional, like he regretted it a little bit. Yeah, sure, he has millions of dollars. Yeah, sure, he's rich. He literally did not even get to say bye to his mother while she was dying. Something about that, it's just horrible to hear. Lots of people in the startup community, they might even hear that and they think, wow, this guy's so inspirational. There's no end to his commitment to his company. And that's when the mental illness kicks in. That's when you start to realize that all of these communities, they say that they're taking you out of the matrix, taking you out of the rat race, and yet they come from one rat race and into another matrix. And it's like in the Lord of the Rings, there's one chapter, it's called Out of the Frying Pan into the Fire. These guys escaped one form of slavery only to enter into a more extreme version. Now, what I'm not saying here is that don't start businesses. That's not what I'm saying. Absolutely not. I think businesses are the key to freedom, the key to earning the financial independence that everyone should want. What I'm really saying here is that start the business, but don't neglect your other areas in life. Don't neglect time with your family. Enjoy your time with your family. Don't neglect your community. Give back, contribute, build lasting relationships, find love, find friends, do all of that. Take care of nature, enjoy this world that we live in. I mean, look how beautiful it is. Can you guys see? Like, okay, camera's not picking up, but there's just so much in this world, to love, to look out for. Why would you just forego that just for a few more dollars? Doesn't matter if it's thousands or millions. Money is abundant and it's infinite. To have a scarcity mindset and think that you can't get it, while these banks are throwing out trillions of dollars in cash every single year, to think that you can't even get any of that is just the world's greatest tragedy. So what I'm really saying to you is work hard, and work hard in every aspect of your life. Don't neglect a single thing, and make your businesses, and also enjoy and be grateful for every part of your life. Be grateful for all the things people have done for you, and give back to them. Give back in so much more than they've given you, and take care of everything that you have. I'm trying to do this now. I'm by no means the perfect role model, but I'm trying to be. I am trying. So yeah, check out Professor Zhang Yuqin's videos, predictive history. It will really open up your mind to how history really works. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I did. See you guys tomorrow.